Hi, this is Stacy Reed, and I'm with Integrity Plus Financial Solutions. I'm your host today for the I've Decided Community Show, and I am so excited to introduce to you Noah Kinnear from Northwoods Community Church and Nissa Catton from Lincoln College. So today we're going to talk about the word explore and how it fits in their fields and just the way you guys think about that word more specifically. So anyway, when we think of the word explore, I'm going to talk to you guys about this because you come from totally different backgrounds as far as how that word fits in your field of expertise right now. So who wants to go first and share?
I'll go. So I work at Northwoods Community Church, and I oversee the trips to the Dominican Republic. So for me, the word explore is like that opportunity to get out of your comfort zone, to get out of the place that you know, the things that you know, and experience something that's different, but not necessarily better or worse, just something that's different. So I think for me, that word explore is just, again, getting out of that comfort zone, taking a place of like watching and being able to see the differences rather than like saying like, okay, this is better or worse than the way that we do it, but just stepping into it and being able to see the differences and see the way that cultures change the way that we live in life. So
Explore in a literal sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've definitely, this is in October, we've got 18 more days. I'm counting down, so excited. I'll be taking my 4th trip to the Dominican through Northwoods. And so definitely when I was asked to focus on the word explore, this immediately came to mind, and you were my first reach out to is to chat about this, because that's so true.
it's a good place.
So, it is, yes. Have a passion in my heart for that place and the people. So, Nissa, how about you? Because this is a different one, a different way to go too.
Yeah, completely different avenue. So I work for Lincoln College's Accelerated Bridge to Education program. What we do is we offer hybrid accelerated bachelor's degrees to adult students.
Awesome.
But of course, I'm representing the institution as a whole as
Right.
well. But I guess in my career field, the word explore, it's more about, it is a different environment, especially if you've never experienced higher education before. But exploring opportunities, exploring what could help you to succeed. So,
Absolutely. So, Noah, you also, you kind of specifically work with the DR trips and the folks, but you also experience being at Northwoods. There's lots of mission trips going on in lots of different areas, and though you may not have your hand in all of those, you see people being changed constantly with all the trips that you
Absolutely.
guys do.
Yeah, we have trips to India, Israel, Brazil, and the Dominican Republic. And all of those have a very unique, way of exploring. Our Brazil trip, you get on a boat and you stay on a boat for the whole time that you're there, which is
gosh.
seven days.
and no.
And you get to go on the Amazon and see like already a different place,
Yeah.
you're already in a different place, but then you're also seeing these villages, which is a totally different way of living. So you see a chief of a village and you like have to start understanding, okay, well, like this is how our government is, but like this is how they run their village. So what does
Sure.
that look like? And also like along with being on the Amazon, people always come back with pictures of sloths
Oh my goodness!
because that's
really?
just something, you don't see in Peoria, Illinois.
No kidding. That's
So,
crazy. That's
I think
awesome.
that's, just seeing people come back, and it's those different experiences that get them talking about it and get them thinking about like, okay, well, what are the possibilities now that I've seen that? Like, I could go to India now and
Right,
be okay with
right.
that, like a
Yep.
huge flight. But
Absolutely. And I know when I go on each trip that I've been so far, and I've just focused on the DR, but we have people on our team that have never flown, who have never been on a plane. I mean, the idea of getting a passport is scary, and
Mine, so yeah.
and so and that whole international My son went 2 years ago with us, and it was so funny because he's like, I've never flown, I've never been on a bus, I've never been in a taxi. Like it was like the first for everything all at once. But it was really cool to experience that with him too. But so anyway, so that's neat. What do you guys think about when you talk about explore? One of the things that I think of too is not just the different ways you can explore and how different that looks with you guys, but also like the fears and what that takes for a person to really step out and explore, those things that are on their bucket list. But and some people have my husband loves to skydive or he would do any of that crazy stuff, and I'm like, no way. Like there's just certain things that I would be willing to explore, and certain things that I'm like, I'm not even interested in exploring that. But talk about the fears or what makes a person want to stay, like you said, in a comfort zone, like and what does that look like for each of you?
Well, so actually, I wrote this down. The I've decided emails that we get as business
Yes.
members and community members.
Yes.
Kim had placed in there, or Joe, I guess, whichever one builds the emails.
Right.
They placed a quote by Tim Fargo, and it says, "Until you cross the bridge of your own insecurities, you can't begin to explore your possibilities." And I think that resonated a lot with me, specifically for my students. They are full-time working adults for the most part, or moms, or
Yes,
dads.
Sure.
And so a lot of times the fear is the thing that's keeping them back. The wonder of, do I have the time? Will I be successful?
Juggling life,
yeah,
that balance.
yeah. What if I
That is
fail?
right, absolutely.
And it's that what if that kind of weighs heavy over people's minds about going back to school specifically. But exploring education, trying something new. And so I think that for our students, that seems to be one of the most common conversations that I have with our students, specifically the adults, because a lot of times if they are responsible for another individual,
Yeah.
a caregiver or a parent, then they're worried about how others are going to perceive what happens to them or the things that they do, and how successful or unsuccessful they are.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of it is reassuring them that I said to a student the other day, I said, what are you afraid of? And it's like, well, I haven't gone back to school, or I haven't ever tried college. I said, yeah, but you never rode a bike. You never used a
Sure.
spoon. I mean, these are things.
True,
And yes, you
true.
were younger, but your mind still learns.
Goes
I
there.
mean, human
Yeah.
beings are there. Our purpose in life is to learn, is to explore, is to enjoy life. And so why not educate yourself and explore the option of gaining that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Education.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that goes right into, the same similar things is just that fear of, usually it's the fear of traveling in general and experiencing a different culture because you're afraid that, you're not going to fit into the culture, or you're not going to understand everything that's going on. And it's I think that's part of it is not understanding what's happening.
Yeah,
Part of the
absolutely.
exploration of it is saying okay, I don't understand this, but I'm going to see how this works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see, I think the biggest takeaway that most of our people who go to the Dominican come back with is that, you're so nervous to go there, nervous about feeling accepted because, you're this North American coming into Central America, and you're like, I don't really know how this works. But then you get in there and everyone's so welcoming, everyone's so friendly, and it's just the culture of Central America. So you get into that, and then, all of their fears tend to go away. I remember for me in college, I studied abroad for a semester, and my biggest fear going into that was that I was going to be living with a host family, and probably none of them were going to speak English. And I was like,
Oh,
I
sure.
can speak Spanish, but it's definitely not comfortable for me to speak Spanish 24/7.
Well, it's different than being in the culture and fully integrated, conversational. 'Cause
So going into it, that was my biggest fear. But then, the first thing that I told people coming back was my favorite part was my family. Like my favorite part was that I felt loved by these people who didn't have any reason to love me other than
Sure.
that I was in their house. Like
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
like
That's
they could have
awesome.
just hosted me, and
Right.
had me
Right.
in my own room and by myself all the
Be
time,
guest, Right.
But it was good. So
I remember the first year that I went to the Dominican, one of the things our leader, Wayne, one of the first meetings, he said, kind of went around the room and said, what are your expectations of the trip? And I said, I have none. I don't have a clue what I'm really doing. I mean, I signed up and I don't really probably even know where I'm going, or what I just signed up for. And, but it was the best. And I remember the second year when my husband and my son joined me, I remember thinking, I hope that I just stay out of their way, that they can experience, with not, instead of me kind of leading around showing that they would get to experience that opportunity to explore on their own and not have me button in or whatnot.
Yeah.
So anyway, so one other question that I have is when you talk about, when we talk about this sitting on the fence and what this looks like, when we talk about the fears and the failures and the unknown and all of that, what do you guys think as far as when we talk to those people? How do you get people to not talk them into things, but I don't want to sound like that because I have people who we opened the DR trip to a small group at Glassford Baptist Church, and there was like 6 people that came to the meeting, and there are concerns of the food and how that affects your stomach, and
Yes.
like all these things, that different things, and we talked through, and we have 3 that are joining us this October from that trip or from that meeting. But what are some of the things that I want to hear, that when you have someone sitting on the fence that they want to, but it's just hard to cross over. What would you say to them to encourage them?
I think my biggest push is just that you're taking away the experience from yourself if you don't do it. So if you don't do it, then you're always going to be like, well, what if I would have done it?
Sure.
And I think that's a huge thing. And especially like for me, when I meet people in those situations, I always share with them like my experience with it because like, I mean, granted, I've traveled a lot since I was young out of the country more than inside of the country. Like I couldn't tell you anything about like the East Coast or anything, but I can tell you about Guatemala and Nicaragua and the Dominican Republic. So like,
Yeah.
it's been interesting for me because it is a totally different way of looking at it.
So experience. Your
But yeah, so
experiences.
sharing that experience and being able
absolutely.
to say like, this is how I like I went once and now I've been 6 more times. Like that's exciting, and that's
Absolutely.
when you tell someone that hasn't really like sold out to it yet, they're like, okay, well maybe there is something
There.
if it keeps you going back, just like
Absolutely.
anything. So
Yeah.
I think that, what you're keeping yourself from is probably actually a good way to say it. A lot of times it's, I don't know if it's the right time, like the stars have to align for non-traditional students to go back to school. And little life things get in the way. And generally what I say is that if you don't do it now, 5 years down from the road, you could have had it and then
Yes,
gotten into,
absolutely.
a better job and been making so much more money. And so why not start now so that you can be that much closer? The sooner you start, the sooner you're done. And so then
So
you're holding yourself back from that opportunity. And there are a lot of things that come with exploring education that help individuals to see what they can gain from it. And so one of the biggest things that I say, of course, you're going to learn. That's the point of the curriculum.
Right.
So you can explore a certain study.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are other things that come with it that you don't expect, like friendships.
Yes.
And that sounds so silly because our students, they go one night a week and the rest is online, and they only have class every 5 weeks, so it goes quick. But they do, my current students, they've kind of built their own little cohort. So like they kind of followed through the same path, and like they hang out outside of class.
Yeah.
That's
They know about
awesome.
each other's kids and about each other's work lives. And so that's something that they've gained from this experience, but probably didn't expect. They have someone to help them through it. And then not just that, but the confidence that they
Yes.
gain from being more educated, being able to speak. I mean, we all
Yeah.
hate public speaking.
Right.
In fact, that seems to be the biggest thing is a lot of my students are going, do I have to do
I have to-
presentations?
yeah, right.
And yes, you do. You have to stand up in front of a classroom, but it's not as intimidating, especially when you are making those friendships, because you get to know these people. And
Sure.
so then once you can be more confident speaking in front of people you know, you can be more comfortable speaking in front of people that you don't know. And so then out in the workforce, you are more confident to speak to people you don't know about maybe a prospective job
Absolutely.
because you have that piece of paper.
We all say it's a
Yeah,
small world,
it
right?
is.
And connections and yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that is another side of the relational side. I didn't even think about that
Yeah.
being a part of it. But I do think, especially on mission trips, I mean, we have like 5 months of once a month training before you go on the trip with the people that you're going to be there for the week and a half or however long. I think it's like 10 days. But like building that community and like that relationship building ends up pouring over once you get there, because then those relationships that are formed, then that place that was totally uncomfortable becomes that place that's the most comfortable.
Yeah.
And then you're in a different country, but you're totally comfortable because you have this family around you. You
people.
have the people that
Absolutely.
you've been building relationships with. And then it makes it easier to reach out, just like you said, once you get in the workforce, or for my experience, once you get into the mission field, once you
Sure.
get on the ground in the Dominican, it makes it easier to reach out to someone because you're like, okay, I have these people backing me up.
Yeah,
Like I
absolutely.
know that they've got my back, even
Yeah.
though you're not usually worried about something bad happening, but just like the idea that you know that you have support, the idea that you know that there are people around you that know you is
Yeah.
a big thing.
Absolutely. Agree. So yeah, I remember on the trips that I would by Wednesday are like, can we start all over? Because we've really gotten to know one another, and this is about over now, you know. So yeah, I could see that. That's a great point. So to finish up, just want to thank both of you for coming and sharing, your fields of exploring and what that means, not only to you guys and what you get to do and the passion that you have about what you do, but I thank you for sharing that, with the community as well.
Anytime.
So thank you to both of Noah and Nissa for joining us today. If you missed today's show, go back and check it out. It's on the word explore. And also with I've Decided, Nissa mentioned a little bit when she was speaking, we have I've Decided business members and business community, as well as I've Decided community membership. So we'd love for you to come out to ivedecided.org and check that out. There's more information on both of those types of opportunities, and we'd love to see you become a part of I've Decided and however that looks for you. As far as a teaser for next month, in November, the second Tuesday, I'll be talking about Appreciate. So I'll look forward to hosting Mayor Artis and appreciating the community that we live in. And we'll have Miss Gigi from Southside Mission. Love that woman. And then we'll have the CEO, Jamie, from Big Brothers Big Sisters. And as an experienced big and having a little of my own, I'm excited to chat with Jamie and just the appreciation that goes on with having volunteers and having kiddos to love on. So anyway, we look forward to seeing you in November as well. And thanks again, both of you, for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you, Stacy.
All right, thanks.
PeoriaLife.com.